Hey there everyone, I'm CCB Dolan here with CCB Falcon, bringing you Ronin and the Pixies versus Expendables. We'll get the bands up. Ronin and the Pixies have banned out the Basilisk and the Scimitar, and Expendables have banned out the Slipnir and the Vindicator.
And we have two triple Tengu setups. Wow. Okay, yeah. This is probably going to be a bit of a slugfest.
No, I actually think it's going to be a really positional game. So there are some distinct differences, though. The differences here being the Yugen for Ronin and the Pixies is going to be really crucial. So the Yugen, if it pins down any one of these Tengus, all three Tengus will be able to focus fire while damping out the opposing Tengus with their Malas. What the opposing team is hoping for is their Keris and their Kitsunes to be able to reduce those three Tengus to almost no fire and keep that Yugen from ever locking down one of their Tengus.
Yeah, we can see that straight away. The control bar for both teams going absolutely crazy. Damps everywhere, attempted jams straight away. That Hugen putting webs on one of the Keris to try and get some of the damps off the
every
field.
single one of these mollies that drops, let's see if they'll get... There's no logistics for either team, so there goes the Keris down. The Keris loss is way worse than the Mollis, but if they drop another Mollis, they might be able... Yeah, they're starting to even it up. So at this point, for the small ships, it's more of a pilot's numbers game. So they are bonus tolls in the electronic attack frigates for Expendables, but every single ship is worth so much in an 8-man team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these Tengus are actually fitted. It could go either way. I suppose you could have a really long range.
Unfortunately, we don't have CCP Fozzie here to tell us if any of these are 100 MN Tengus, because he's the only one that knows what that subsystem looks like. I never can remember. It looks the same to me. The Yugen, as long as that Yugen stays jammed and damped so that it can't catch a Tengu, both teams have a really strong chance. The Yugen's ASB fitted, so it will be able to tank for some time, but heavy missiles from Tengus go so far and do so much damage. Neither is I've just received information that neither is a 100 MN Tengu. So all the frigate support for Ronin is down. Ronin's in a really bad spot. As ship numbers decrease, this Hugen's going to drop any second, and with that, they can pretty much just engage in zero and win. Like, the Hugen is down, and that's going to be the match for Expendables. I'll tell you what, the Yugen was probably not preparation for opposing Tengu teams. Like, the Yugen was mostly designed to keep their Tengu safe from a rush team, and just the amount of Keris and Kitsunes just overpowered the the non-electronic attack frigate Mollises.
I think what Ronin and the Pixies have done here, they've kind of played it safe. They've gone for a triple Tengu team, used the Hugen for range control. They've put the damps on the field, and they've tried to just play it fairly safe, and they haven't expected someone to come back with another Tengu team.
So why... These Kitsunes, if the Kitsunes drop, then it becomes a very tight match. That Tengu needs to go down right now. Yeah. There we go. Good. If a volley missed there, or somebody was like, if that Tengu didn't die, then that was a very different game. So 3 Tengus versus 2 Tengus, simple math. They can pretty much just close, and plus with the damps from that Merlin, it's pretty much a sealed match for Expendables. Really well played. So this is the match. This is the kind of match we haven't seen so far in the tournament. Tengus versus Tengus.
Bear in mind that Melon, I believe, as well, is also target painting, so that's going to have a hell of an effect as well on damage putting out from the heavies.
At this point, he could be fitting basically nukes only, and they would still win. But the Tengus are so good for their ability to kite. But when you can't really kite an opposing Tengu, and it just comes down to what you have supporting those Tengus. With the last Tengu down, Ronin and the Pixies. Expendables win, force a second match with Ronin and the Pixies. This will be life or death for both teams. They will both still go on till tomorrow, but only one will have a chance at $6,000. We'll see you back in the studio in just a few seconds.
All right, guys, that was a really exciting match that could have gone either way, and I was wrong this time, and I don't really mind because, Jesus Christ, those are both teams that really deserve to win the tournament if they could. So, Expendables showing that they are incredible. What was the kicker? It was 2 very similar teams.
The kicker was the amount of points spent on a Yugen. So the Yugen is good in that sort of kite versus kite setup, if you can single people out. The problem is that the range on the Tengus is so great that the amount of area on a tournament field where you can isolate one Tengu so that your Tengus can hit is maybe as a very small kilometer range. You really have to be a precision pilot. And if the other team is even concerned that it might happen, they can easily prevent you from doing it by just staying close together and making sure that they move as a focused firing pack. So the Hugin was not particularly good. It may have been good to web down frigates and then hit them with the missiles, the heavy missiles, but they just didn't kill the frigates fast enough. All the Mauls dropped, all their dams were gone, and Kitsunes still remained, and the Merlins still remained for Expendables, and that sort of E-war just sealed the fight.
Yeah, I think what's happened there is Ronin and the Pixies this is a very different setup to everything that they've fielded in the past. So what I think they've done there is they've gone for the triple Tengu setup, used the Hugin to try and control the range, and they didn't bank on someone bringing another triple Tengu setup.
So, and there's also another level of this play. Both these teams recognize that they're making it to tomorrow. They're going to be playing in extended series matches, best of 5s, best of 3s. A Tengu setup is a setup that you need to express to the other teams that you can field it. You have this in your bag of tricks. You always need to be aware that Tengus can show up.
Expendables have to win again today.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Expendables will be in tomorrow's matches.
No.
Yes, they will.
No, they have to win again
they have
today.
to win again.
No, they don't.
Yes.
They will be in the match for 3rd and 4th place. I can guarantee this. There are only 4 teams remaining, and we have 4 teams playing tomorrow. So the people who win this match will be battling for 1st and 2nd place, and the people who lose these coming matches will be battling for 3rd and 4th place.
Yes, I think you're right.
I am, in fact, correct. I'm 100% correct.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, so the interesting situation here, we've never had that before. It's multiple matches, basically.
Yes.
And so they fight again. They bring almost the same setups. What do you do now if you're these 2 teams?
So, especially for for both these teams, really. Last match was a chance to show that you had something, especially for Ronin and the Pixies. This match, you have to bring your absolute best, because the difference between the 3rd, 4th battle and the 1st, 2nd battle is a tremendous difference. It's 2 more potential matches in the series out of a best of 5 instead of a best of 3, and it's significantly more prizes. You really have to bring what you're most comfortable flying, and what is going to counter the other team's current meta as it exists in the previous matches.
So Ronin and the Pixies, of course, won't be bringing the same setup.
They might.
Why?
It's all a mind game. So we'll have to see what the bans are. I suspect that neither team will ban Tengus. Just calling the other's bluff. Bringing Tengus again is sort of a real mind game.
Yeah, it's a double bluff.
This is our first best of 2. This is 2 matches in a row. This is the first time we've ever experienced that. This is a whole new level of the tournament that we've never had in our Lions tournaments or anything else.
Yeah. I wouldn't bring the same thing. Would you, Falcon?
I'd risk it. I'd go with a double bluff. Yeah.
Even though you just lost with the setup?
Yeah.
So I actually wouldn't bring it, but they could.
Why would you? Why wouldn't you?
Why would I? Because they're going to expect you to change up. You can go backwards and forwards with the argument. Yeah, I would, but they'll do that. Then I'll do this, and they'll do that, and you can go with that. You know, you can argue that all day. But yeah, I'd just do it just for the hell of it.
Yeah. So in my mind, the Tengu is a very scalpel precision setup. I think that in a match where you absolutely must win and you have no further chances, you can't bring a setup like that. You can't bring a setup where your DPS relies entirely on 3 ships that are very weak tank and not particularly high DPS and just rely on their speed and range. I think you want to bring maybe a Slipknot team, maybe one of the battleship teams would be really strong. I really think that there's a large selection of battleship teams that are really strong in this tournament, and they're very hard to counter because they're just so strong. They're just so generally strong.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so next is Ronin and the Pixies. Oh, sorry. Next is Asin Hitama's team.
Yes, we do.
Asin Hitama. I'm going to swap my who's fighting who information thing here, which is important. Let's actually get them on the screen, because you guys can follow what we're seeing again. So this time around, we have goggle-wearing internet crime fighters and Asin Hitama's team. Here we're looking at Asin Hitama's team. So we haven't seen these guys before. So their captain is Vlada Silny, who I do not actually know. They do have. Oh wow, we have it's like a parallel universe. So there's a pro League of Legends player called the Odd One, and we have a weird one in EVE Online. So it might be his evil twin playing Paladin 1995. It's a bit of a special name. What other good names do we have in here? Oh, there's really not that much. All right, So this is basically the Godfather's team, and they've been super awesome, and they're fighting, of course, goggle-wearing internet crime fighters. Let's see what's on the next one, because that's where we get some of the really important one. So we don't have, Vlada Silny is still in there. He's flying the Cyclone typically on these setups. We don't have anyone that's like the logistics pilot. Can it be true? Does this team not use logistics?
They do, in fact, not use logistics.
They have not fielded logistics once?
No, they don't.
Not once.
So there's an interesting evolution here. Both goggle-wearing internet crime fighters, and as we'll see later, and Hasina Thomas' team are both battleship meta teams. They've all decided that really strong battleships, faction battleships, and Marauders are the way to go here. But goggle-wearing internet crime fighters have chosen to field logistics in every single one of their matches. I believe. Yes, in every single one of their matches. So, and the Hasina Thomas team has chosen to break those up. They really like Kitsunes. They brought a lot of stabbers in one match. They really are trying to spread their points out to control the match, not to mitigate damage.
Yeah, and this is super interesting, though, because, so we have I'll just give you guys the bans now, because the first thing I thought when I saw this was, if I was Goggle, I'd be not banning logistics, because they're obviously not going to use them. And as predicted, so goggle-wearing internet crime fighters have banned the Rook and the Vargur from this team, which is clever, because they've used Vargurs in half their matches. It does, though, mean that they can swap to Macarials or Golems, because they've been known to use those as well. Rooks, on the other hand, maybe not as targeted, maybe a defensive pick?
Yeah, Rooks are always a strong defensive pick. ECM teams that aren't based on, how am I blanking on the name? The Widow, sorry. ECM teams that aren't based on the Widow basically are in a lot of trouble unless they have a really strong Rook contingent. And ECM is a setup that's so different from every other kind of setup, that it's really nice to just be able to say, like, go away, I don't want to deal with you. I'll just play my style game and maybe worry about the Widows a little bit.
All right, so Hasina Tama have beaten EFS.
I didn't get Hasina Thomas team's bans.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, so let's just quickly run this through so we can get back to the studio. EFS, E-Flight School, Bahrain U, something.
Yes.
Hasina Tama have beaten Goggling. Whoa, they've beaten this team before.
Yes.
Oh, Reputation Cartel. All right, let's get back into the studio while we get the next set of slides up.
That was the Golems versus Golems match.
That was the Golems versus Golems match. So I rudely interrupted you when we were talking about bans. So what has the other side banned? So Hasina Tama's team have banned the Scimitar and the Vindicator. The Vindicator I completely agree with, because the Vindicator Goggle have been using fairly successfully the last two matches.
Yeah, they fielded that last two matches twice, and they've won both matches as well. So yeah, that's good. But these are both predominantly battleship-based teams, but they use their battleships in a very different way.
Yes.
Goggle-wearing internet crime fighters tend, for the best part, they've gone high damage, fairly close range. They've two Vindicator setups, Macarial, Varga, and Hasina Tama's team, and no logistics. They're all like fairly fast kite battleships, or they're putting battleships at range that aren't necessarily fast moving but have immense alpha. So two very different ways to use a battleship setup.
Yeah. Hasina Tama's team focuses mostly on preventing damage from occurring. Goggle-wearing internet crime fighters really just handles the damage that comes in and puts out more.
Do you know what I focus most on? Winning.
Yeah.
That's what I'd focus on.
Winning is a good thing to focus on.
Let's see these slides for goggle-wearing internet crime fighters. So again, Seldarine, 18-man team or so. This is the Suddenly Spaceships team. They've been using the prize ships and all that stuff. They're a really good team. Anyway, let's go on and see what they have.
They do have the best named pilot in the tournament.
Wiener?
Yes, Wiener.
Okay.
They're going to win just based on that.
All right, so they have three pilots you want to keep an eye on. You want to keep an eye on Seldarine, of course, running this team. You want to keep an eye on DHP Wildcat and Redon, the logistics pilot. These are some really good, some really experienced pilots that could easily win this contest.
Yeah, and as well as that, this team has this team has told us as well in local, in their previous match when they lost to Cambion, that they do have a second one. Yeah. So maybe we'll see that. And that's balls of steel if you're going to field the second one after you lose the first one.
So while those three pilots are individual linchpin pilots, this team also, as you can see here, always has really strong assault-frigging contingents in most of their teams. And that's really key in these damaged teams, that are close range, because your assault frigates are going out there getting stuff slowed down enough that your big battleships can come in and deploy their damage.
You're also going out there to drop frigates that are going to be damping the hell out of you as well. So.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good setups, as we see Natama wisely banning the Vindicator, which has been super effective in the last 2 matches. And once you notice that every single member of Goggle wearing Internet Crime Fighters is actually wearing goggles, your mind will be blown.
Yes. And keep in mind, just like our previous match.
Let's get to the match.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to win this one? Falcon.
I'm going to go with the Natama's team.
I think Goggle wearing Internet Crime Fighters will take this first match. The second match, I'm not so sure about.
I think Goggle wearing Internet Crime Fighters is going to win it as well. So let's see if we won't get 2 extra matches this evening.